Hello, this is Deacon Chris again from St. Mary's in Corvallis. I've just gotten over I'm still getting over the worst cold in history, so I hope you won't mind if I sound a little congested. I'm also trying to move around and see where the light can be better. I'm trying to reposition where I record these videos so that the light is better. I want to share with you a poem about the Eucharist. This is the last couple of years have been a time of liturgical revival, rethinking what the Eucharist is about. People don't seem to understand what the Eucharist is. The Church is realizing that. And Pope Francis wrote a really wonderful apostolic letter about this called on the liturgical formation of the people of God, and ways that we can return to a sense of what the Mass is really about and all the sacraments, which is a way of returning to a sense of what the world is about. And Pope Francis, in this letter, quotes a 20th century German theologian named Romano Guardini. It sounds Italian, but he was German. And this is what Guardini says, and that Pope Francis quotes and approves of and elaborates on. Here, there is outlined the first task of the work of liturgical formation. We must become once again capable of symbols. We must become once again capable of symbols. I love that. It's why I thought I might share a poem, because a poem is a symbolic act. When we hear the word symbol, we immediately think, well, it's symbolic, not real. It's not real, it's just symbolic. But part of what we need to do, Guardini argues, and Pope Francis argues, is renew our sense of what the symbol is and realize that the distinction is not between what is symbolic and what is real, but that in a true understanding of symbol, we are encountering a reality beyond these distinctions between the real and the unreal, or the subjective and the objective, that's part of what Christ came to destroy, is those oppositions. That we need to think, we need to approach the Eucharist in an imaginative way. So that's what this poem is about. I've been thinking, I'm very interested in the theology of the great Jesuit mystic and paleontologist. I've talked about this before, Teilhard de Chardin, who has this beautiful image of the cosmic Christ, of the Spirit of God and of Christ working through the evolution of the whole universe. That the first incarnation, the first Eucharist, was the Big Bang. And this transformation of the body and blood into the bread, into the bread and wine, the transformation of matter into spirit, has been going on and is always going on and will go on. And Teilhard says, culminates in Christ in the future. I thought, well, I love that idea. But then we also believe as Catholics that although there are modes of presence, that's a phrase from the Vatican II document on the liturgy. There are modes of presence, that Christ is present in the people, in the scriptures, before we come to Mass, after we come to Mass, but that Christ is present, that real presence is fuller. The fullest expression of it is in the Eucharist, is in the elements in the Eucharist. And so I've been trying to figure that out. And suddenly it sort of hit me. This poem just kind of came out. That, what if, I'm not arguing this sort of theologically, I'm saying, what if the Big Bang is happening every time we have Mass? That's what happens at Mass, is that the world is created. That I don't know, 14.7 billion years are happening, boom, like that in Mass. And that led to this poem. We need to become capable again of symbols, because that's where Christ is really present. We are people of symbols. Our lives are full of symbols, And here they are. And notice as I read this that I'm talking about something huge like the Big Bang, and yet or evolution, cosmic, biological cosmic evolution. But at the same time, I'm talking about something small, something that's here in us, in a child, you will see, inside of me, inside of this child's grandfather and grandmother. This is Alice Rose. What happens at Mass is that a single point explodes into a billion pieces, and the pieces fly away at incredible speeds, and they become atoms, then gases, then stars and planets. And on one planet, amoebas appear, and the amoebas become fish, and the fish become dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs become monkeys and dogs. Everything is always becoming something else until finally the universe comes to consciousness of itself. And we're standing there looking around thinking, wow, this is really beautiful. This is really sad. When Jesus appears in the flesh, we don't recognize him at first. We think he's the gardener. An old man and an old woman walk down the breezeway with a baby. They must be in their 70s, maybe their 80s. The old man is bow-legged and wearing jeans. He looks like he has worked his whole life. The old woman has wrapped a shawl around her head and swaddled the baby. But it's the old man who is holding the baby as they walk. She is 4 months old, they tell me. Her name is Alice Rose. You baptized her, the old woman says, smiling, a couple of months ago. The baby's head is smooth and soft, and there is a band around it. And on the band, in the center of her forehead, there is a little white rose made of cloth. What happens at Mass is that I keep watching the old man as he sits in the pew, looking down at the baby and smiling, rocking her in his arms. That reference to Jesus being mistaken from the gardener is from the Gospel of John, I think, chapter 20, when Mary Magdalene, right after the resurrection, she's gone to the empty tomb and she's weeping. And she turns around and she sees a man there and she thinks he's the gardener. But it's Jesus. And I think that's what we're always doing. We're mistaking Jesus for the gardener. But he is the gardener. And he is here. And he is now. And that's what happens at the Eucharist. And that's what happens everywhere else.